Girl, don't go for that. It's not.
Go to jail.
Hello, girl. I've been thinking. I know I've been missing for a while. I just got very busy, with coaching and then with my new job. And yeah, just life. I had to take care of myself a little bit. So, anyways, welcome back. I'm glad that you're here. Because today we're going to talk about something that most people completely misunderstand when it comes to healing, change, self-worth, relationship, money, and success, all of it. Because people think they have a mindset problem, but a lot of the time, they actually have a nervous system that is addicted to an old story. And I know that sentence is going to trigger some people already, which, you know what? Good. Because some of you keep trying to positive think your way out of survival mode while your body is still living in a war zone emotionally. Your mind says, I deserve better, but your nervous system says, better feels unsafe. And your nervous system always wins, That's the part nobody wants to hear. You can journal for 6 hours, repeat affirmations until your tongue falls out, listen to podcasts, read books, go to therapy, meditate on a freaking mountain, whatever. But if your body still believes that love equals abandonment, visibility equals danger, or rest equals laziness, success equals rejection, you will keep recreating the same emotional reality with different people, different jobs, different opportunities, different ears, different faces even, but the same wound. Because the nervous system does not care about your vision board. It cares about familiarity. So it doesn't care about what you wish for, what you want. It cares about what you repeat as well. And a lot of us are confusing familiarity with destiny all the freaking time. But no, trust me, that's not your soulmate. That's your trauma pattern wearing, some nice perfume. And I need us to start being honest about that. Because some of us are not manifesting. Some of us are reenacting over and over and over and over again. Same panic, same chasing, same shrinking, same fear, same emotional addiction, but a different costume. Let me tell you a fun fact. Your nervous system is an actual storyteller. And the story it repeats most often becomes your identity. That's why people say, this is just who I am. No, Chad. That's who you became in order to survive environments that no longer exist, okay? And some of you are still emotionally reacting to rooms you already left freaking years ago. That's why healing feels so strange at first. Because peace can actually feel threatening when your body is used to chaos. Some people don't sabotage because they hate themselves. They sabotage because calmness feels unfamiliar. Healthy love feels mega suspicious. Consistency feels boring. Safety feels empty. Stillness can feel dangerous. And why? Because the nervous system was trained to associate intensity with love. So when they finally meet something healthy, they feel nothing. And when they meet dysfunction, their whole body lights up. And buddy, I know how that feels. Like you feel butterflies, anxiety, obsession, hyperfixation. People call that chemistry. I personally used to call that chemistry, okay? I was that person. I wouldn't be standing here right now recording this episode if I wouldn't have been that person. Sometimes it's just literally your wounds recognizing a familiar home. That's the uncomfortable truth. And I'm not saying this to shame you or make you feel bad. I'm saying this because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And awareness is the first pattern interrupt. Not healing, awareness. Because you cannot interrupt a pattern you keep romanticizing. Some of you are calling your trauma intuition. Like, I'm actually getting to meet a lot of people online, and I swear, some of them are calling their trauma intuition. No, babe. Like, your nervous system is just scanning for familiar pain. And until you learn the difference, you will keep abandoning yourself while calling it following your heart. Thing is, your body remembers everything. That's why one text can change your whole mood, you know? One tone of voice, one look, or one moment of minimal rejection. And boom, suddenly your body is not in the present anymore. It travels back, it goes back. And this is where people actually get stuck because they think healing means I will never get triggered again. But this is a big fat lie, actually, because healing actually means the trigger no longer controls your identity. You see, like, that's actually a huge difference, man. A healed nervous system is not a nervous system that never reacts. It's an actual nervous system that can return to safety faster, like, than before. And this is where the actual power stands, not in perfection, because we are human beings after all. And I am pretty sure that some of you are exhausted because your body has been bracing for impact for like years, maybe, even during good moments, or even during love or success or rest. It feels like you're still waiting for something bad to happen until you kind of eventually create it. Not, it's like it's not consciously. Like we don't do that consciously, but the nervous system will often recreate what it expects because certainty feels safer than the unknown, even painful certainty. That's why some people even leave healthy relationships, not because they're bad, but because safety removes the emotional addiction they confuse with passion. And suddenly they feel numb. But, numbness is not always a sign that something is off or that something is wrong. Sometimes this numbness is just the absence of that specific chaos. Your body literally doesn't know what to do without that emotional turbulence. And this is why changing your life requires grief. And I do feel like nobody talks about this enough. You are not only grieving people, you are grieving identities. Like, versions of you, patterns, coping mechanisms, emotional addictions. Because survival identities do not live quietly. They freaking fight for their life. That's why healing can feel like actual death sometimes. Your nervous system might be saying, if I stop being hypervigilant, I will get hurt. If I stop people pleasing, I will get abandoned. If I stop shrinking myself, I will lose love. Or if I stop overworking, I'll lose my worth. So then, like, every time you try to evolve, your body panics. And people think sometimes that this is like, oh no, this means I'm going backwards. But this is not actually what it means. Sometimes it's just you finally meeting unfamiliar freedom. And freedom feels terrifying to a body trained in survival. And I actually want to give you a real pattern interrupt right now. Not like a motivational quote, an actual interruption. The next time you feel yourself spiraling, I want you to stop and ask yourself, who am I about to become right now? Not what happened, not what they said, not the story. Who are you becoming in this moment? Because this is where the nervous system takes over. I want you to watch how fast the body tries to become the abandoned version of you, the rejected version of you, or the invisible version of you, or the hyper independent version of you, the version that chases, or bruise or panics, performs, shrinks. And instead of immediately reacting, pause. Like pause for 2 minutes. Put both feet on the floor. Like I want you to look around the room like slowly and try to say out loud, I am here, not there. Again, I am here, not there. Because your nervous system confuses memory with reality. And sometimes the body needs proof that the danger is not happening right now. That is just an old story. Then after you manage to do that, I want you to ask yourself, what would the safest version of me do next? Not the most wounded or the most triggered or the most addicted to chaos. The safe version of you. And, maybe the answer is gonna be don't send that text or leave the room or take a walk, drink a freaking glass of water or tell the truth. Maybe stop over explaining yourself or stop abandoning yourself. Well, that is the actual interrupt. Tiny moment. It's really a tiny moment, but I swear it's a massive rewiring. Because every time you interrupt the automatic identity, you weaken the old story. And eventually, the body stops reaching for survival as its first freaking language. I know it sounds easy, but it's actually just that easy. If you ask yourself those questions really often, when you feel yourself triggered, when you feel this old wound coming to the surface, when you feel this old story running your present life from the shadows. So that's why pattern interrupts matter. Pattern interrupts are literally moments where you consciously choose a different response than the one that your body memorized. Not because it feels natural, because it doesn't actually. At first, it feels fake. It feels freaking awkward or uncomfortable even, it feels wrong, which is actually good. That usually means you are fully stepping outside the prison of what felt familiar for you before. So, sometimes it might look like not texting back immediately because you're anxious or not abandoning yourself to keep somebody comfortable. Like, fuck that shit. Like, to hell with that shit. Or resting without feeling like you have to earn it first. Even telling the truth instead of performing. This is how you actually rewire your nervous system. It's not like the aesthetic content about healing that you find online. Not pretending you're healed just because you bought a couple of crystals and started saying alignment. Okay. I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyways, every 7 seconds. Actual rewiring, it's freaking deeply unglamorous sometimes. It's just about repetition, actually. It's just like you're actually training a dog with treats into how to give it the paw or how to sit, It's always just about repetition. This is how your brain learns, through repetition, which means every time you choose safety, every time you regulate instead of react, every time you stay present instead of spiraling down, you are teaching your body that you do not live there anymore in that old story. And this is powerful. I love powerful. And I also think people underestimate how much courage it takes to stop identifying with suffering. Especially when suffering became your personality. And I can tell you this from personal experience that when I was around 21, 22, I was this person. I was literally identifying with suffering. I was keep letting the old stories in which I got hurt to be present in my life back then. So, some people don't know who they are without struggle, without fixing, without chasing, proving, without surviving. So when life finally becomes a bit like better or like soft, they unconsciously destroy it because chaos gives them identity. That's where I was. And this is the part where I need to lovingly call some of you out in the exact same way that I called myself out back then when I realized that I was stuck in an identity around suffering. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to call you out. So why do you say you want peace, but you still emotionally feed on dysfunction? You say you want love, but you still choose people who confirm your wounds. Why are you doing that? You say you want abundance and success, but your body still associates visibility with danger. Why do you say you want a new life while emotionally rehearsing the old one every single day? Your nervous system listens more to repetition than desire. Okay? I want you to remember that. So the question becomes, what are you rehearsing daily? What is it that you're repeating, rehearsing daily? Is it fear? Is it rejection? Is it abandonment? Is it shame or hyper independence? Or are you finally rehearsing safety? Because healing is rehearsal. You practice a new emotional reality until the body stops resisting it. That's why self-awareness alone, it's not good enough. It's not enough. And I'm telling you, because I'm meeting so many self-aware people through my coachings, as online, like a lot of people that are reaching out to me. And the pattern, it's the same. Like some of the most self-aware people are still deeply dysregulated. Like they can explain their wounds beautifully. Like they know therapy language, some of them even go to therapy, but they are still trapped in the same patterns. They cannot break the patterns because knowing it's not enough. Like knowledge, it's not embodiment. And healing becomes real when the body starts responding differently. When peace no longer feels boring, when rest no longer creates like that feeling of guilt, or when being seen no longer feels like a threat. That's when the story changes, actually. Not when you force yourself to think differently. This is bullshit. This is never gonna work. This is never gonna work. That's why I don't believe in affirmations. That's why I don't believe in like manifesting my desires. No, if you want to manifest it, you need to act like it. Like you have to act like it. So things don't go out your way when you force yourself to think differently. They go differently when your body finally experienced a different reality long enough to actually believe it so that it can actually rewrite that old story that is in there, ruining your life behind the curtains. And I need you to understand something very important. Your nervous system is not broken. It just kind of adapted. And that's very entirely different. Like, let me explain. For example, your anxiety adapted. Your people pleasing may be adapted, or your avoidance, or your hyper independence. And these right here, they're very intelligent survival responses. But the thing is about these survival responses is that they can become prisons when they kind of outlive the environment that created them. So that's why sometimes we end up sabotaging like good connections or like good conversations that we have with somebody because, we're like being run from behind the curtains from an old story. So things don't really like fit. The environment doesn't fit anymore, but we're like still thinking that it's the same thing. So, we're like matching two different realities. They don't match. And at some point, healing requires you to stop worshiping your coping mechanism. Because some of us are protecting wounds that are like sometimes destroying our future. You cannot become free while defending the thing that keeps you emotionally trapped. And this is why healing, it's less about becoming someone new and kind of literally more about finally becoming safe enough to be who you already kind of were underneath this whole like survival mode bullshit that you created so that you can protect yourself. Like, honor it, It protected you for a very long time, but it's time to let it go because right now maybe you're not in the same environment that hurt you. So that's the real work. Not performing healing, not branding your trauma, and not turning your wounds into an identity, but generally teaching your body that you don't have to fight for your life here anymore. And this is going to change your life like a lot, I'm not saying it's going to be a miracle, but it's going to be cell by cell, choice by choice, pattern by pattern, until one day you're going to wake up and you're going to realize that you no longer react the same, or you no longer chase the same, or you no longer abandon yourself the same. Also, when you no longer need chaos to feel alive. And that's when you're going to actually understand that the nervous system can learn safety too, not only survival. And maybe, just maybe, that's the beginning of freedom. Not becoming fearless, but somehow becoming safe enough inside yourself that fear no longer runs your life. Okay, so I guess this concludes today's episode. I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening. Also, I just wanted to say that I have 2 more spots for my coachings for the next 2 to 3 months. So if you feel like you need some guidance or that you want to actually kind of break those patterns, and even with the help of this episode or like books or self-help like ebooks, you cannot make it or get there, you're very welcome to send me an email or a DM on Instagram, and I'm going to reach out to you and we're going to make it work. But anyways, I just wanted to say I love you, and I'll see you in the next episode.